Hey guys, it's Danielle with Danielle Gets It Done, and this is my pregnancy update for week 35.
Gonna love you, honey, on and on and on. I'm a morning dove singing out a song.
I think I'm gonna say this every week from now on. It's just getting so close. I cannot even handle it. But the baby is as big as a pineapple, which doesn't surprise me. It's feeling pretty big. About 5 pounds and 18 inches. Oh, it's a big baby already. I think pretty much what it's doing from here on out is just gaining fat, which would be nice. James was a pretty big baby, and I'm kind of like scared of small babies. Like, I never was afraid to break him because he was so big. Some of the symptoms the app talks about is needing to pee all the time. Like, you could not exaggerate this enough for me. Sometimes I time it and it's every 10 minutes at work. Sometimes, and having to go to the bathroom kind of sparks my contractions sometimes, having that full bladder. I don't know. The other day at work, some people decided to like congregate right outside of the bathrooms, which is really annoying. And they were talking, and I went to the bathroom like 2 or 3 times while they were all there. It was really embarrassing. And continuous aches and pains. I think I talked about that last week. I'm feeling it. Like, I'm trying not to complain. I'm trying to be positive, but I'm getting a little uncomfortable. And I love this process, but I have to say I am a little excited to not have to share my body 24/7. That will be nice to have some space. So there's that. Okay, week 35, I went to my doctor this week, and okay, so I get there, I go to the bathroom per usual because I always have to pee. And then the nurse handed me a cup, and she's like, okay, we need a urine analysis. And I was like, what? Because I have not done that since the beginning. So I asked my doctor what that was about, and he said, actually, most doctors make you do that every single time. So let me know below if you had to do that at every appointment. I haven't done it, I don't think, since I took a pregnancy test at the doctor. But what they are testing for mainly is an increase in protein, because that can point to scary things like preeclampsia and HELLP syndrome. So he said he just does it at the end, and now I know to save my bladder for the appointment. Though I win so easily anyways, because again, I go every 2 minutes. But the baby looked good or sounded good. 150s, low 150s for heartbeat. This baby's heartbeat is always low 150s, consistent all the way through. I'm not sure if that means boy or girl. Let me know. I need to do like all those wives' tales before this baby comes to predict what the gender is. I need to get that done. Kind of a bummer. I've been talking a lot about spinning babies and trying to make sure the baby's in the best position, which is head down, either back to the front, or if it's hanging out on one of your sides, you'd like it to be on the left side. And my baby is, or was at least at that appointment, more on the right side. So not the end of the world, but that's how James was, and it was really hard to get him out. So I'm still working on that. But anyways, the big thing from this week is my doctor approved my birth plan. I finally did that, and it felt so good. He read through the whole thing with me right there and was just like, okay. He had one suggestion for me to add, and it just feels really good to get that done. So I took a poll on Instagram, and most of you wanted me to share my birth plan, so I'll do that right now. It is my bookmark in my book. And also, I thought everyone did a birth plan. Like, I just thought that was the usual, but a lot of you were like, I've never even heard of this. So I don't know. Also, let me know if you did a birth plan if you've had a baby before. I don't think it'll take that long. It's not like a novel. But I just say this is my VBAC birth plan, vaginal birth after cesarean. I had a C-section with my first. I'm going for a normal vaginal birth with this one. And I just say I'm excited to labor and deliver with my doctor and at the hospital we're delivering at. And then I talk about my 3 main goals. So my first goal is obviously everyone's first goal, and that is healthy baby and healthy mama. Soapbox side note, if you know a woman who had a really difficult and traumatic birth, do not say to her, at least you have a healthy baby. Because A, that's offensive and demeaning her experience, and B, like, of course that's the number 1 goal. So just don't say that. My number 2 goal is to have a vaginal birth. I really would love to avoid a C-section. And my number 3, my third goal is to have as little interventions as possible. It's just my main preference. I don't think interventions are evil. They do help a little bit of a better success for a VBAC if you stay away from interventions. But I say, you know, I understand things can go wrong, making interventions welcome and necessary, but would only like to use them if we feel they are needed and after weighing the pros and cons. I'm not planning on an epidural, but will have no shame asking for one if it's needed. Please do not offer me any drugs for pain management. I will ask if it's needed. And then I talk about that we've been doing Hypnobabies, which I can't remember if I've released a video about that before this or after this, but you can search on my channel. And we will use positive terminology such as pressure waves and birthing time instead of contractions and labor. It's very hippie, very weird, I know. And then I asked them to try to not to use the pain word. I just want to keep it positive. I think language matters a lot. And then I say those present will be Philip, my husband, possibly our son James, who is 6. If James decides to be part of the day, there will be another adult with us, and they will be in charge of James and, you know, take him away if he's bored or scared, or obviously if an emergency happens. And then we might have a photographer, but we're still working on that, and we're not planning on a doula. So this is what I did last time too. I organize this in the stages of labor: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. If you're not familiar, stage 1 is from when labor starts until you are fully dilated. Stage 2 is pushing and the delivery of the baby, and stage 3 is delivering the placenta and all the bonding afterwards with your baby. So stage 1, it is understood that because this is a TOLAC, which is trial of labor after C-section, we'll need continuous monitoring belt, and we'll need an IV put in right away. We'd like to have a line put in but then capped off so I can remain mobile, and I've talked about that before. Ideally, we'd like for the cervix to be checked twice, once upon arrival at the hospital and when I feel the urge to push. My first labor was long and I ended up getting an infection, so I am sensitive about having too many checks, especially if my bag of waters is already broken. The room should remain dimly lit and quiet. I will be listening to my Hypnobabies tracks and will not want to have a lot of interaction with others, so I can focus on staying relaxed. I just want them to know, like, I am very introverted and really am not into chit-chatting, especially during labor. It's just my personality. I hope to be able to remain mobile through labor so I can try different positions during contractions. Our understanding is while I cannot push in a tub, I can labor in one. And then I talk about if the continuous monitor is picking up signs that the baby is in distress, we hope to have the time to put in a more accurate internal monitor before making any harsh decisions. That's the bummer about that continuous monitoring band, which I've talked about before. It just, since it's continuous, it picks up like every single thing and can scare you. And it doesn't necessarily mean the baby is in distress. It kind of gives some false alarms sometimes. So obviously, again, the baby's safety is number 1, but I don't want to rush to a C-section. I want to make sure the baby really is in distress if we have the time to make that decision. Stage 2. The pushing track from Hypnobabies will be played out loud at this time. If baby seems okay, I would like to let my body lead the way and push only when I feel the urge, mother-led pushing. I'd also like to be free to try different positions during this stage. And when it looks like the baby might come with one more push, please let me know. I may want to try to slowly push between contractions to help avoid tearing. And that is a trick I learned from my Hypnobabies course. I do not want an episiotomy. I would rather tear naturally. And then this is just my weird, crazy next thing. We do not know the sex of the baby. Please do not announce it as the baby comes out so that my husband and I can learn the news on our own. Let me know if anyone relates to this. Like, I'm really adamant on this point. Like, I don't want some doctor or nurse to announce it. Like, I want to see or have my husband tell me. Stage 3. Baby should go immediately to my chest. We hope to delay weighing and any procedures for a reasonable amount of time, and my doctor and I agreed on an hour. I was separated from my first baby for hours, and this early bonding time is extremely important to me. We would like to be this as peaceful and gentle as possible. Please do not aggressively rub off the vernix. The vernix is like the white, silky liquid that covers the baby when he or she comes out, and it's really good for the baby. It reminds them of the smell in which they've lived for 9 months, and it's moisturizing. So I say, Philip and I will gently rub it into the baby's skin. We also do not wish to give the baby a bath at the hospital. That's another weird trigger for me. The nurses for James' birth gave him a bath before I met him even. And I know that sounds like such a ridiculous thing to be upset about, but that was devastating to me. A, that I like couldn't smell him like a newborn smell, and B, that I was not there for his first bath. Like, as a mother, I want to do that. Philip will cut the umbilical cord after it stops pulsating. We are saving the placenta. I'll talk about that in another video. And we'll bring a cooler. I heard the hospital might also have a refrigerator dedicated for this, and my doctor said yes. They are a placenta-friendly hospital. Then I talk about procedures. So we are denying the Hep B shot. That is just my personal preference. I am personally pro-vaccinating, but I don't see the reason to do the Hep B right at birth. So he or she will catch up later. We will opt in for the vitamin K shot and eye drops, but wish for them to take place after the golden hour and hopefully while the baby is sleeping. So again, we discussed about an hour after the baby's born, we'll do those procedures. We do not give permission for any other procedures, tests, shots, or use of formula without our consent. This was also a problem with our first birth. So my doctor would like me to add here that we are okay with the 24-hour testing that they do, which is, let's see, a hearing test, testing for a heart murmur, and then a simple blood test. I don't really remember what they're testing for. Probably just a bunch of common things. And I'm okay with all of that. So he wants me to write that in, but then to also write in that one of us, myself or Philip, will need to be with the baby during those procedures. I just personally don't want the baby to ever be separated from me, hopefully ever, but at the very least, the baby's father. My last section is in the event of a C-section. So I had a really good birth plan for James, but I was above planning for a C-section because that would never happen to me. I was very snotty about it, and I don't want to plan on a C-section so much that it brings it into existence, but I think it's really smart to plan for that, especially being a VBAC candidate. There is a pretty good chance I will end up with a C-section. So I say we are thankful for this potentially life-saving procedure, but would like this to be as gentle as possible. I have to move because my foot's asleep. The curtain should be lowered halfway, and the baby should still go directly onto Danielle's chest. And Danielle and the baby should not be separated and should recover in the same room. It is our hope that our stage 3 and procedure sections do not have to be altered much in the event of a C-section. And then I talk about, I have a mass endometriosis on my previous C-section scar, so if I do need a C-section, I would like them to remove it at that time. If possible, I've talked to my doctor and a surgeon, and they both said that shouldn't lengthen the surgery too much, like at all. Like it shouldn't be a big deal. So I'd like them to at least try to get that done. And then I don't have this, but my husband reminded me of this last night. Also, if I have a C-section, I'd like them to, this sounds gross, but birthing through the birth canal, babies get healthy bacteria as they come out. And so there's this new procedure that some people do where they kind of swab the inside of a woman's vagina and apply that bacteria to the baby. And not a ton of research has been done yet, so it's not standard, but my doctor said it would be really easy, so I just need to add that in there. And then I say thank you for taking the time for reading this. We are doing our best to be optimistic about having a healing VBAC, but we'll also stay open to how this baby needs to be born. There is my birth plan. Yeah, I'm excited that he was totally okay with everything. And yeah, he scanned it into my file, and I just need to pack a couple copies in my birth bag, which I already need to get going on. It's nuts. I'll show you my bump. I forgot last week. This shirt is feeling tight. So here she is. Contraction. Oh. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to have you subscribe if you are not a subscriber. I hope you have a wonderful day, and whatever your plans are, I hope you get them done. Bye, guys.
Ooh.